And so we're going to talk about a man named Gideon and the Israelites in the Old Testament, where they had to be reminded and even pushed to the point of God being their peace. And I love this about God, but I also don't like this about God sometimes, is that God led the Israelites into desperation. You heard it just a little while ago. He pushes them into this desperation and their breaking point. Read this in the first verse of chapter 6 of Judges. The Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. So he draws them into this desperation by the Midianites, and the Midianites were a nomadic clan, a Jewish clan, because they have descended from Abraham through his other wife, Keturah. And so these are descendants of Abraham. The Israelites are descended from Abraham by Sarah and Sarai. So when we get to knowing this, it's God uses these descendants from Abraham to scatter but get powerful, but then also to come and teach the Israelites a huge lesson because they were doing evil in the eyes of the Lord. But sometimes God still works this way. He's the same God yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and forever. He doesn't change. So sometimes, unfortunately, God has to bring us to a point of desperation so we return or turn to him to be the source of our help, the source of our peace. But sometimes it takes a desperate time in our life. See, God knew, though, the breaking point of Israel. He knows the breaking point. Midian so impoverished the Israelites. They oppressed them. They took their food. They killed their animals. And so they're like, what is the deal here? And so they cried out for help. This is their desperation. Last week we talked about God being our sanctifier or our Kadesh. God has us on different aspects of sanctification and the points of sanctification where the Holy Spirit teaches us things. But God knows where you're at in your sanctification process. And so he knows how he needs to push you forward. And sometimes it takes a trial, it takes desperation to get you further up in your sanctification process. And for 7 years, he used oppression and this impoverished nation of Israel to get them to a point where they need to cry out to the Lord for help. See, sometimes God doesn't keep trial from us. He doesn't keep tribulation from us so that he can push us to grow in who he is. That on the other side of oppression, there's tremendous growth that doesn't come without it.